I can't pass up a good thrift find, especially one that needs a makeover. In today's video, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm turning these thrifted finds that nobody wanted, I guess, and I'm turning them into some beautiful home decor. And there's a theme. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. My name's Melissa. Let me know which one of these makeovers is your favorite. Now let's go ahead and get to crafting. This is a little rooster that I thrifted for $1, and I didn't notice it when I got it. I was just gonna put it in my booth like this because I like the colors of it, but I didn't notice until I got it home that apparently this was cracked and whoever had it repaired it. So I am just going to refinish this, and I'm gonna start by giving the rooster a base coat, and I'm going to use this Krylon paint and primer spray in Satin Ivory. When this coat dried, I did turn it over and get the bottom part because this was so many details. I did have to turn it over. Now that the spray paint has dried, it's given me a good base coat, so I do want to go over it with some chalk paint, and I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. Now, because there were so many details in this rooster, I definitely had to give it 2 full coats, and after those 2 full coats, I did have to go into certain spots and give it a 3rd coat. All right, now the next thing I want to do with this is I am going to paint the comb red as well as the little, whatever they're called. I'm going to paint those red, and I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson. And hopefully I can get it on film because I'm going to have to get kind of up close. So hopefully it will come out on camera. Now, I have what is called familial tremors, and so my hands shake. So doing tedious little things like this is a little bit harder for me, but this wasn't quite as bad as what I thought it was going to be. And once I finished with that first coat, you could still kind of see through it a little bit, but because of what I'm going to do later, it didn't matter. So I just did 1 coat of the red. I let that red dry for quite a while, several hours, because I don't want it to smear with this next thing that I'm going to do. But what I'm doing is I'm taking that same plaster paint that I used to paint the rooster, and I'm just dry brushing very lightly onto that red. I don't want the red to be very, very stark. So I am muting it a lot with this plaster color paint. Like I said, I'm dry brushing it because I don't want to have a heavy coat, but I just want that red to be more pale. Now I really want to showcase those details, so I'm going to use the Waverly chalk paint in Hazelnut, and I'm going to use this small chippy brush and very, very lightly go over all the details with that paint. And I'm using dry brush again. I'm putting very little paint on my brush, getting off any excess with that little paper towel, and then lightly running that chippy brush over the rooster. And I just did this until I liked the finish. You can do this as heavy or as light as you want, but I got it to kind of the finish that I wanted. And once I was finished, I did spray it with a clear sealer, and this is how it turned out. I absolutely love this. I think that it is just so beautiful, and it's exactly how I envisioned it in my head. Let me know what you think. This project is gonna be so easy. I have this little piece of wood that I thrifted, and basically the only thing I'm gonna do to it, I have this piece of paper that came from this Hobby Lobby pack of paper, and this is actually a Christmas one, but I love this red color. So I am just going to basically trace the paper along the edge that is not covered on the edge or the corner. So just do this, and then I'm going to cut it out. Next, I am going to put some Mod Podge on the top. I'm not even going to sand off the word because it's not going to show through the paper. Just want to make sure you get it on the edges. And then once I have all of that down, place my paper and make sure it's on there real good, and let that Mod Podge dry. Once that Mod Podge is dry, I'm just going to use some sandpaper and sand away the excess on the sides and give it a clean finish. Now I have the back page of one of the Dollar Tree candles from calendars, not candles, but this is from 2005. Gosh, so this is old. I've had this for a long time. That can't be right. I don't know, it says 2005. Okay, well, anyway, I am going to just use this little bit right here. This is basically just on the back of the calendar, and it was a preview of what the pages were. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut this out. And I just realized that says 2021. So I have no idea what that 2005 is right there, but yeah, 2021. Before I put this on the block, I do want to kind of age the edges a little bit. So I'm gonna use this, was it Tim Holtz Distress ink? And I will put a link to this in the description box. I got it from Amazon. It came in a pack of 4. So I'm just gonna do this around the edges. Next, I am going to put some Mod Podge on the back. Then I'm going to set it toward the bottom a little bit. Now I want to seal in the paper as well as the image. So I'm going to go back over it with Mod Podge, making sure to get along the edges. Now that the Mod Podge is dry, I do want to make a twine bow. And to make this, I'm just putting the twine between my pinky finger and my thumb, and I'm wrapping it around one of my other fingers. And when I get as many loops as I want, I cut off the excess, move those tails to the front, and then I'm gonna tie it with some floral wire, and I'll cut off the excess of that floral wire, and I'm just gonna hot glue it to the little board, and then I'm gonna hot glue a button on top of the bow. And finally, I want to finish off the edges with this Tim Holtz Distress ink. I think this is the walnut one, and I'm just going to go around the edges. Today's video is also part of a collaboration, and it's hosted by Shabby Meets Bling, Jody at Southern Seasons, Marika's Creations, Up All Night DIY, Crafting with Indie Annie Jones, and Repurposed My Way. I'll have all of their links as well as a link to the playlist in my description box, so make sure to check it out. And this is how this little piece turned out. This would be so cute on a coffee bar tiered tray. Let me know what you think of this project. For this project, I have this wooden rooster that I thrifted at an estate sale just maybe 2 weeks ago. And the estate sale had a box full of these cutouts. So I picked up the rooster one, and I want to give it a makeover. But first I need to clean it up real good. And I want it, it's got some marks in it, but I want those to stay because to me that just kind of adds to the character. So, but the first thing I need to do for sure is just clean it up. Now I'm gonna paint one side as well as the sides with Waverly chalk paint in the color ink. For the next portion of this, so this is how it looks right now. So you can see I didn't give it a complete paint job. But for now, I am going to cover the front part with this awesome fabric that I found at Walmart. And when I saw the fabric, I just thought it was so cute. So I just bought it with no project in mind, but when I saw this, I knew that I wanted this on it. So since this is a light background, I do want to make sure this is a light color. Even though it is light, it has a lot of, you know, variations in it. So I'm gonna paint the top with Waverly chalk paint in the color Plaster. I need to get my material ready, so I just laid it over the rooster cutout, and I'm cutting it to about the right size in a rectangle. Then I'm going to use my Mod Podge and start putting the Mod Podge on the rooster. I put some on the top portion of it first, laid my material down, and then just kept doing that until I covered the whole rooster. And then I used my little brayer to make sure that that material is set really well. When it was dried for a little bit, wasn't completely dry yet, but it had been drying for a little while, I went ahead and cut back most of the excess material so that I could go ahead and give the material a top coat of that Mod Podge. Now there was a little part at the bottom where that material wasn't Mod Podged directly onto the foot really well, so I had to do that also. Now that once the Mod Podge was dry, I used my little zip sander and sanded off the edges to give it a clean finish. Now when I'm doing material, I do have to use a more coarse sandpaper. So I think this was 150 sandpaper, but it works through that material better than like a 220 grit. Now I want to make a bow, and I have several different kinds of material. I've got this one that I got from Walmart, this one that I got from Walmart. This is the main one. This I thrifted. And then I have some scrap ribbon, and I'm just going to kind of alternate them, stack them and alternate them, and then make a bow. Now I'm just going to start layering my ribbon and my material strips. And I will say I actually took it back apart and spread the material out more instead of stacking it so much. But all you do is you take that stack, wrap it around your hand to get your loops, and then you can use floral wire to tie around the center of the loop and then cut off the excess, and then you can just adjust the loops and the tail to how you want it. And that's how easy it was to make that bow. Now, originally I thought I was gonna put some antique wax on the parts I didn't paint, but I kind of like the way it looks. So I think all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some antique wax by Waverly and a baby wipe to just kind of go around the edges, because I do want the edges on the front to look a little rustic as well. I did want to mention once again about the collaboration. Make sure that when you're finished here that you do go check out that playlist. These ladies have done such a great job hosting this collaboration, and there are also so many other creators that have put together some thrift makeovers that just might give you some inspiration for some great home decor. So make sure to check that out. Now I need to make a hanger, so I have some wire and I'm stapling it to the back of the rooster. I stapled part of it down, then I folded up what was left of the wire and stapled it down again. This gives a really good hold. It's not coming out. Now I'm going to take a paintbrush and wrap the wire around the paintbrush just to kind of give a stopping point, because I'm going to add beads. So I needed those little curly cues so that my beads wouldn't go all the way down to the top of that rooster. So I have my little bead bowl, and I'm just going to alternate some lighter wood and some darker wood beads on the top. I think I may use like 4 of each or 5 of each. And then I coil the other side and then staple down the same way as I did initially, just to get that really good hold, and then kind of adjust it at the top. Now I'm going to attach the bow with some hot glue and a button on top of that, as well as trimming off that tail. Now I'm turning it back over onto the back and painting that wire black so it'll match, and then I'm going over it over the back and the sides with some clear wax by Waverly, and then I'm going to wipe back the excess, and then this project will be done. I think this just turned out so cute. It's exactly what I envisioned when I found that material several months ago. Let me know what you think. I just think this is just so cute. And by the way, if you ever see anything on here that you're interested in, I do sell my things. Now, if you're new to my channel, or if you missed a video here and there a while back, I'm going to show you a project that is also Rooster themed, and it was done in one of my previous videos. Board that I found at a thrift store, Salvation Army. I probably got it for $1. But I need to take this cork off, so I'm going to use my heat gun to scrape that off. Now, this cork was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be to get off. It took me a while to heat that up, scrape it back, but I did the best I could. Once I got off all of the cork, there was some kind of leftover residue, and I tried to sand it as much as possible to get it as smooth as possible. Since I did have to stain it, it did take off some of that dark color, and I do want it to have the dark color. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some of this Minwax gel stain. It may not be the exact color, but I do wanna bring some of that dark tone back. All right, that stain was actually a pretty close color to what the original was, but anyway, you can still kind of see a little bit, I guess that's residue or whatever, but I am gonna paint, but I'm gonna paint it with kind of like a distressed farmhousey paint. So I'm gonna use the Dixie Belle paint in the color drop cloth, and I'm just going to give it light coats because, like I said, I want it to be kind of distressed looking. So I'm just gonna start off with kind of going like this. And if I want more, I can add more. Now, even though this is a sort of messy coat of paint, I do give it a second coat because when you're doing it like this, it kind of looks a little dull when you do it with the first coat, but when I went over it with the second coat, it made that white a little bit brighter, which is more of what I was kind of going for. All right, this is the last one of those transfers in that transfer set, so I'm gonna use it on this. So let me get this transferred on. Again, like I said, transfers are very simple. You just have to take your time when you're using them just to make sure that everything gets transferred down. But I'm gonna have some links for some transfers in the description box below for you to check out. Finish this off, I'm just gonna use some twine around the handle and some beads. Now, I did forget to go over this with some clear wax before I put the twine on, so I do need to go over this with clear wax. Once I go over it, I'm going to wipe off the excess, and once it dries on the front, then I will do it on the back as well. And this is how this one turned out. And this one is exactly how I envisioned it in my head. I did put a piece of twine in the hole in the top, but I just love this one, and I want to know what you think about this one. And before we take one final look at all of the projects, I do want to share a Bible verse with you. This verse comes from Daniel chapter 12, verse 3, and it says, "Those who are wise will shine as bright as the sky, and those who lead many to righteousness will shine like the stars forever." I hope you enjoy these Bible verses that I share with you, and I hope they bless you in some way. Thank you so much for coming by and checking out my projects. I'm curious to know which one of these is your favorite. Let me know in the comments below. And I do want to take just one more second to thank all the hosts that put on this collaboration, and I want to encourage you to make sure that you go check out their channels as well as the playlist. I know that you will not be disappointed. If you're new to my channel and you love this sort of content, whether it is thrift makeovers, thrift hauls, home decor, I would love it if you would be a part of my YouTube family. Go ahead and click the subscribe button and click the bell button so you're notified when I upload new videos, and give this video a big thumbs up because it really does help me out with YouTube. And if you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and check out the boxes you see on the screen right now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.